Hey guys, coldbrew here. Welcome back to another raid video. I'm not here by myself today. We have Ash back on the channel for another collab. I'm really excited because it's been a while that we did a collab on this channel. At least we've done one for Watcher of Realms. And yeah, Ash, welcome to the channel, man. Welcome to the channel. First of all, how are you? How are you doing?
Coldbrew, man. I'm doing great, bro. Thanks for having me. You're right. It has been a while. We've both been into Watchers, which is really cool too. So it's nice to be able to collab with you on both channels. We're going to sit down here and try to bust out 4 collabs today. So we're going to spend the whole afternoon together, man.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, let's just get started because I really wanted to get this list out there for people who might be thinking these epics. How are these epics categorized as epics? I mean, if you think about where the game was years ago when we first started, me and you, I think, you know, we started many years ago, and the epics didn't look like they look right now. Their skills weren't as good. Some epics were, of course, better than others, and that's what I wanted to tell everybody about in this video today. Like epics that could have been easily categorized as legendaries, because right now we have the fragment collection for this guy Ugir, who's a legendary, but it can be argued that his skill set is a little bit underwhelming, right? He only has one skill. He has a passive that is kind of unique with the revive. Okay, when enemies revive, he does his A2, but he doesn't really feel like a legendary, comparing it, let's say, to the big ones like Duchess. Of course, it's the big shoes to fill, but still, you kind of have to compare. The same thing goes for Timid, which felt a little bit underwhelming comparing it to other fusions we had in the past, like Newt. Okay, and yeah, with that, we're gonna look into some of the epics that we feel like, we talked with Ash before we started recording, we feel like these epics are, you know, a bit better. Epics plus almost legendaries, could be legendaries easily. So yeah, let's get started with Ash, actually, because you know, you're the guest, so you have to start this.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, no, I mean, you got me thinking back in the days that we started playing. Like you started before I did, covering raid, but I think we both go back like 4 years. And I just wanted to ask you before I kick things off here, man. I wanted to ask you, because you kind of got me thinking, back when you remember like first starting to cover the game and play the game, like who was the epic that you most wanted to get your hands on back then? Do you remember? Was there one epic that you're like, oh, I need that? Because I have one.
Like, I think when I very first started, my account wasn't all that, you know, big, and the epic that felt really powerful was Tyrell.
Same. That was mine. Yeah, bro. Everybody wanted Tyrell, man, back in the day. Man. It was like, if you got him, you felt like you won the game, and now he's like an afterthought, which is it's sad in a way, but it's cool too, you know?
Yeah, now his kit he looks okay. I mean, he doesn't look that special. But back then,
weird. His A3 is what makes him special now, where back then it was all about the second ability, the decreased defense, you know?
Decreased defense, yeah, decreased attack, the defense aura. It's all of that was just amazing back then.
It was a clan boss staple. Yeah, still a good champ, by the way. I'm just, you know, not like he used to be. But anyway, number one, we'll start with the most obvious, man. It's Geomancer. I mean, it's I heard rumblings. I've mentioned this before. This is like a year and a half ago, so like I feel like I can say it safely now. But there was like an internal debate amongst Plarium whether they should nerf this dude. I'm knock on wood. I'm assuming they didn't because it's been a year and a half. But I mean, he's got to be the most used epic out there, or at least up there. I mean, you could definitely make a case he's a 5 out of 5, the most legendary like epic in the game. I mean, he has a great kit. Like, take away his insane passive and how it synergizes with his 3-turn burn and the weekend on the A3. It can deal insane damage. I mean, I use him in Phantom Shoguns. I use him in Iron Twins. You could use him in Hydra. You can use him against half the Doom Tower bosses. He's just such a great carry for damage and just staying alive. But his kit's really good on top of that, too. He's got buff removal. He's got an AoE with decreased accuracy on the A1. He's just, you know, what bad can you say about this dude? I guess his speed, his base speed. I guess it's the only thing. But really, it doesn't even matter. He's that good of a champion.
Yeah, he's that good that the speed doesn't matter. You're going to make it work regardless. You're going to give him the best gear that you have. Like, I have 3 copies of Geomancer, just to give an example to people out there that might still be on the on the edge about maxing out this guy, he's definitely worth it. And that's where the idea came for this video. Like, I thought Geomancer, I was looking at Geomancer, I thought, okay, yeah, this is a good video idea. Let me find another 9 champions.
That's easier said than done, right?
Yeah, it's you know, it's brainstorming after that point, because Geomancer definitely feels you know, the definition of the idea behind this video. So my number 2, okay, my number 2, guys, is a champion that well, not everybody has, but it can be acquired. It's a void. It's Madame Ceres, okay. Her kit is so good for an epic that she is definitely in the top 5, I would say, especially for arena. She can definitely be used for anything else other than arena, okay. She won't work as well as she does in arena, but for years she was MVP, and you would see her in every single team because of this A3 skill. Removes all buffs, decrease attack, decrease defense, and they had to nerf her. I don't know if you remember.
I was gonna say, of course, it was a 3-turn originally.
Yeah, they had to nerf her because it was that strong of, you know, the debuffs were that strong. The cooldown was 4 turns with 3 turns duration. That could have been extended then with your masteries. It was just, you know, it felt, you know, very strong against you. Then she has very interesting passive with shields. When attacked, she applies fear. She can steal buffs, apply block debuffs, place true fear on enemies that have buffs stolen with their A2, and then just their A1 is as simple as just applying fear on an enemy, and the chance increases depending on the amount of debuffs that they have. So if you apply your 2 debuffs first, and then she goes in there with the A1, she can actually apply fear with a 45% chance. So she's very strong. Although her kit looks kinda simple, she's very, very strong for what she does, and could definitely be helpful to anybody out there who's just trying to use her. And also, you don't even need to skill her up basically to get the utility out of what she does. So a fantastic champion that I could definitely see, like, if this was a legendary, I could definitely see it.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's weird because, like, you know, I wanted Sathalia for a while, you know. I was like, and I finally got her, and then I just ended up still using Madame Ceres instead, you know, because that ability, to your point, I mean, polymorph did hurt her a little bit, you know, obviously.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's I was going to mention the nerf if you didn't, because they haven't nerfed many epics ever in the history of this game. And, you know, Uragrim, Madame Ceres, maybe 1 or 2 others over the years. But man, when this was a 3-turn cooldown Midnight Ritual cold brew, dude, that was like, she was so busted in PvE too. And then, like, at that point, I feel like she was the best epic in the game when it was a 3-turn. But yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. She's still a monster of a
way back then. Also, we had way fewer epics. There weren't all the epics that we have right now. But yeah, fantastic one. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll go with Godseeker and Eerie. Again, I'm kind of going shock here at the top of the video, but I feel like she absolutely has to be mentioned. You know, she's got a heal who on the ally who needs it most on the A1, on the A2. She got the pretty good heal, 3-turn cooldown, but more importantly, she has the increased duration of all buffs ability, increased duration of all, or excuse me, decreased duration of buffs on enemies, increase on allies. Obviously, incredibly strong ability to have. Like, there's only a few epics that have it, Sandlashed and a few others, but really, really, really good. Obviously, getting those buff extenders on a team, especially for longer fights, like, is just really, really valuable. And then Rise to Glory. I mean, this is the definition of what makes somebody a legendary, right? Having an ability that no other champion in the game has. And she's got that. She's got the reset cooldown of their skills. So the Rise of Glory ability, it allows you, especially when you parlay it with the passive, it allows you, this is the mechanic that allows you to, you know, duo Sand Devil. And a lot of people do, I'm sure, with Godseeker and Eerie. She's great outside just that use case. But I mean, nobody else resets cooldowns of all skills upon revival. It's on a 4-turn cooldown. And then she's got the preemptive revival on the active effect on Guardian Angels. So she's able to just do some incredible things that no legendary in the game can do. She's, you know, I was going to say a simple kit, but she's actually doing quite a bit here. So I feel like she's a staple. If you pull a Godseeker, I really do think she changes what you can do with your account, which you can't say for many epics out there.
Yeah, I have. She's like my favorite. I used her a lot way back when I did my free-to-play series for like a whole year. I had an account that I was playing. Godseeker was the carry for that account at the start when I didn't have much, and you know, getting an epic, void epic that actually helps you out is huge. And she's just so badass with that revive. Just resetting your cooldowns feels like, you know, you have a chance again at pushing through the content if you're you know, you're struggling. So
Absolutely.
yeah, let's go to the next one. Next one is gonna be Farrakhan the Fat for me. This
Great
guy
choice.
is so good.
He is.
I used him many times in clan balls, used him many times in dungeon teams. Fire Knight, he is so good in there. What makes him special is the beat down skill, okay? Crit rate, crit damage buff. It's not something that strange nowadays to have that, but the all ally attack is such a strong skill to have. Even though he himself doesn't go in there for the attack, just sending everybody else for that plus buffing them up opened up the way back the blender teams, the arena blender teams with the Skull Crown and Sinesha. He made it so much fun with that. Yeah, this just provides a huge damage boost to your team, and it's just an amazing skill on its own. He's got poisons, HP burns on a 3-turn cooldown skill. He's got a decreased defense on the A1, and then he has also a way to deflect damage from him in case you're building a team where it's not a, you know, block damage team or an unkillable team. So his kit overall just screams, you know, overpowered for an epic, in the sense that he has so much that I use him in my Fire Knight Hard 10 team, actually, just to get an idea of how strong he is.
No, I love Farrakhan the Fat. I was a little bit late to actually like building him out, and I don't regret doing it. There's a lot of ally attackers in the game nowadays, you know, and really I put him in a category of 3 in terms of blender. If you're going to run a blender, you know, I think it's him and Longbeard and Cardio, right? Because they both have that damage. Like Longbeard has the extra damage. Cardio has the increased crit rate, increased crit damage, just like Fat Man does. But those are 2 legendaries. One of them is Void, you know, and granted, the rest of Cardio's kit is insane and stuff like that. But
of course.
In terms of just straight up ally attacker, like no epic can hold the candle to Farrakhan.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Farrakhan is just amazing, just straight up amazing. Just because he's also like an epic, he's that much easier to book comparing him to legendaries, and all of what he provides just benefits. Every single skill he has benefits your account. So next one's to you.
Yeah, I mean, I've been singing the praises of this dude. We actually kind of before the video, we kind of like compared lists or whatever, and mostly had the same champions. But I'm like, I got to put Tagore on, man. It wouldn't be a Nash guest appearance without mentioning Tagore. So Tagore is an orc support champion who. He's a fairly recent addition to the game. He's pretty fast. He's a reviver. He's got 105 base speed. He's got to increase defense of the ally with lowest HP on his A1. So already out the gate, like it's a very useful ability. The squishiest champion essentially on the squad. He's got a 2-turn big version increased defense on. Basically who needs it the most. On the A2, he's got the AoE. He actually like... You're not really building him to be a massive damage dealer, but with 1100 base attack he could be a good secondary with an AoE attack damage dealer on your, not secondary, excuse me, like a support damage dealer on your team. But more importantly, he has the increased speed and the 15% HP heal based on his HP, which obviously what we always look for. So he's got a great heal, big version increased speed, AoE, all on a 3-turn cooldown. And then we have a revive. Frankly, it's not the best revive because it's only 30% HP and a shield, but the shield is based on his max HP, and it's on an AoE on a 5-turn cooldown. So not too bad. You can also use this ability just for the shield. So you don't have to revive similar to an Arbiter or Mighty Uko or whatever. And then last, he has the damage mitigation on the passive. You don't find this too often in epics, especially one as good as this. Decreased damage received by allies with 50% HP or less by 10%. So I love those. You know, I love Pythion, Norog, Duchess. I think they're very valuable, those damage mitigation passives. And then he's got HP in all battles by 25%. Just a really, really good progression champion everywhere, you know, and he's just one of my faves they've added recently. I think that he's incredibly underrated and just a jack of all trades. You can kind of use him anywhere, you know, because he brings so many essential things: heals, revivals, shield, increased defense, damage mitigation, good aura, etc.
Yeah, very strong support from what it looks like. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I totally forgot about this champion. Didn't even have him on my list. And Ash, was like, come on, you gotta put him on the list. I was like, wait, who's Tagore?
I know. I did a video like 6 months ago with Hades, I think, doing a similar concept, and he had the same reaction. He's like, who the heck is that?
Yeah, it's just we've reached a point with 800 champions that we forget, guys.
It's weird. I'm notorious. I'm woefully bad at mythicals because I don't have any. So I'm about to fuse my first one today, actually.
Oh, you have all the parts. Nice.
I got all the parts. So I'm about to get my first mythical, but sometimes in live arena, dude, like if they draft a mythical, I'm like, I don't know what that. I don't know what that.
Yeah, you can't remember the kit. It's two kits. Also, it's like two champions.
Exactly. Anyway, I digress.
The next one on my list is it's a free to play one. Actually, it's everyone can get this champion and pretty easily. I would say comparing it to everything else on the list. Everything else is RNG based. This one's just put in some time. It's gonna be Dark Kale. Dark Kale's kit, it's like when they first introduced the epic version of the starter heroes, guys, because these Dark Kale, Ultimate Kale, they weren't in the game when we first started. It was just Kale, then they slowly added Dark Kale, and then the Ultimate Kale. So Dark Kale is one I thought, okay, the starter Kale is really strong. Would they make the epic version of Kale strong again? Well, yes, they did. They made him insanely strong. He has a poison and HP burn activation on his A1, right? Which is tremendous for just taking down bosses very, very quickly. Any big health enemy that is affected by poison or HP burn, he's going to take it down fast. Especially the dragon, if you guys used him in there. A2, AoE, that can decrease attack. And if you crit, can extend the duration of debuffs. And all of that ties in. Okay, all of that ties into what his A3 does. Okay, his A3 can apply poison debuffs and a poison sensitivity on the target for 2 turns. And this is just so strong. He's used for teams where he's basically a solo. So he solos bosses. He can't do it on hard mode, but he can definitely do it on normal mode for the dragon and I believe the ice golem as well, if you build him right. And then he also has a passive that decreases the crit rate of enemies. So if you guys didn't know, all enemies in the game have 15% chance to crit unless otherwise specified. So I think Phantom Shogun has 50%. I might be wrong on that. But yeah, this is the way that he reduces that to 0, and you eliminate a small part of the RNG, which is getting crit and just dying, straight up dying during a fight.
No, I totally agree. Great boss killer with the instant activation and good with triple hitter. He's good basically in all dungeons, really, really cool champ. It's funny with the Doom Tower normal track. It's like the first, 3 champions you get are all really super solid. Then I feel like it all goes downhill from there, which is kind of ironic, but it's a better than the other opposite way around, I guess.
Yeah, it feels weird that it's all over the place where you're at a point where you're completing the whole of the Doom Tower. You feel like, okay, I need some really good champions to add on top of what I have, and then you get stuff that is average or below average after a point. But yeah, Dark Kale is definitely not below average. If I saw this kit on a legendary, I would definitely believe it.
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. Okay, next up, I'm gonna take another kind of curveball here. Truthfully, like, we're leaving so many amazing epics off the list, so
there's just so
many, I'm sure there'll be a million shout outs here, but I'm gonna go with Croydon the Blue. Trying to pick some newbies out there, and Croydon, man, he's just grown on me quite a bit. I mean, he's obviously a Fire Knight specialist. He's got the freeze for Fire Knight hard, and then he's got the triple hitter for Fire Knight anywhere, right? On top of that, he's got an AoE ×2 freeze, 3-turn cooldown, 65%. I mean, for 3 years playing this game, I feel like we're being old men talking about like back in the day, but like it was like Lua with one AoE on like a 4-turn cooldown with a 75% chance of freeze, and that was really it especially for epics. But even legendaries, it was Shiramani, and that was kind of it, and Gargo the Augur. But now this dude comes in with a 3-turn cooldown, 65% chance on both hits of landing that freeze. That is very really dependable. Strong, It's an incredibly strong CC ability. Definitely the best freezer out of all epics, and it's not even close. And then, you know, if that was his kit, if it kind of ended there, then he had a mediocre A3, I wouldn't include him on the list. But then he's bringing the big version of increased speed with the turn meter boost on top of that on the 3-turn cooldown as well when you book it out. And again, the books are pretty reasonable on this dude too. They go right to the cooldown. It fills his champion's turn meter by 5% for each freeze debuff placed by this champion. Snow Dancer, the passive, is a nice little motor that just keeps his turn meter going up for more control throughout the battle, more triple hits on the A1. So certainly S tier and Fire Knight normal, Fire Knight hard, but definitely for progression anywhere else. Or Sylvan Watcher's factions, which obviously is the newest, you know, faction war. Just what a great control champion. Can also, you know, not crazy damage out of this dude, but could be a nice like support damage dealer control champion. I really like this guy.
Yeah, the freeze control is a little bit underrated because not so many champions had it. And so when this champion was added, he just added that extra, you know, ability there in terms of having an epic that can completely control a whole wave and just keep you alive a little bit longer. And people are, you know, sometimes my viewers are a little bit scared of the hard version of the Doom Tower where you go in there, you get hit by a lot of damage. It's very difficult. But if you take in control champions in there like stun and, you know, in this case freeze, that can help you push through if you're having those issues. But yeah, let's go to the next one in my list. It's gonna be the one and only Demitha. Okay, I think I wanted to also have Maneater on the list, but we took it out. We took it out and we left Demitha in there because I think she has been a big part of the revolution of the clan boss in a sense. Okay, the clan boss used to be only, you know, teams that can be killed. Okay, and then the Maneater team started popping up. The budget man-eaters, the double man-eaters, the bad eaters, whatever. And then Demitha, when she was up and available, she was just a breath of fresh air. Deadwood Jedi went crazy with his guide. He did like 15 videos in a day, all different teams.
It was Christmas coming early to Deadwood.
because this champion is an epic that has a 3-turn cooldown block damage buff that allows you basically to make a very strong team for the ultra nightmare difficulty, the highest difficulty of the clan boss, with relative ease, without much gear. You still need good gear, but she allows that to happen with like another rare. There's a team out there, you can search for it, guys. And so you can also extend the duration of all ally buffs and then decrease the duration of all ally debuffs. So it's not a cleanse, but it just reduces the debuffs. And she can also do a big heal. She has a small A1 that's like a shield, but her biggest selling point is really the A3, the low cooldown A3 that allows for those crazy teams. And she also has like a small aura for defense in all battles. But honestly, the A3 just alone deserves her the title as you know, as a legendary in disguise.
She was a game changer for sure. It's hard to, you know, I guess besides the last champion on this list, it's hard to pick out a champion that just changed the game completely like her, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's a few on the list, but yeah, man, she's definitely there.
Yeah. You could argue,
to your point, she could be like a super capable healer. I mean, like, granted, 1000% her best, you know, use case is clan boss and what she's done to clan boss. But she can be, again, like such a good healer and support everywhere in the game as well. She's nasty, man.
Yeah. And she's got a good amount of reviews as well, like 4,000 reviews. So people do love her, and they did value her. So yeah. Next up, all
right. So we have a little. It's funny. We kind of agreed on a consensus here.
Yeah.
But then while we're recording, I'm like, I kind of want to give it to somebody else. So we were gonna have Taragi, and you're welcome to give Taragi a shout out if you'd like to. But
curveball.
Well, but I'm gonna give it to Seeker.
Oh yeah.
For the same reasons we talked about Demitha. Like he's a game. I mean, granted, he's a legacy champion, and sure, Seeker's great in the arena on a go second team because of that passive and his aura, on a go first team because of the, you know, the speed booster, the 30% boost and the extra turn, provoke an enemy. It's great, you know. But the reason he's really on the list is because, listen, this game has whatever, to your point, 300 legendaries and a dozen mythicals, but still there's no better turn meter booster in the game than Seeker. And it makes the Batman comps possible with him, you know, because the reason is pretty simple. He's got a 30% turn meter boost on all allies, but it's the extra turn that allows it to do a 2-turn cooldown, that allows all the Bat Eater comps to work, and allows so many of those comps to actually function. There's a reason that it's Bat everything. It feels like if you go to like deadwoodjedi.com, Seeker is just such an instrumental part of Clan Boss because of that ability, the 30% turn meter boost, extra turn. Even like a Nekmothar has a 30% turn meter boost with an extra turn, but it's on a 4-turn cooldown, not a 3, you know, when booked. So yeah, I would include Seeker for that reason. He's an old school champ. He's not the sexiest name on the list, but he's still so unique and so good, you know?
Yeah, I could definitely go with this one. It's a very simple kid. He's an OG. He's like one of the first epics I think I got on my account. But way back then, we didn't have all these clan boss teams. He was just strictly an arena champion back then. So I would use him just as the turn meter fill and increase attack. That was huge. Like for an account that just had Kale, War Maiden, and Seeker. Wow, we didn't even have the back then. We didn't even have the daily login champion. So we didn't even have you know, any of the daily login. We started with getting them and having High Katoon there in the 30-day login. But when I first started, we just didn't have any of these. We had the 90-day eventually, and then they slowly added more and more and more. So yeah, the game definitely evolved since then. But what hasn't changed in the years that we've been playing the game, and no other champion has been introduced, is I'm guessing the audience might already have commented. How can you forget?
For last, right?
Yeah, if they were quick on the trigger with the comments, maybe they didn't go for it. But yeah, let's go over here to the fan favorite.
Seer! There she is in all her glory.
I mean, what can you say? I mean, what can you say about this champion? It's one of the champions that can do millions in crits, or you know, 10,000. It all depends on how you put in support champions with her. The karma burn, all right? The karma burn is what makes her so special. You just put a ton of buffs on your team. If the enemy team has buffs, the better it is for you, and then she just multiplies that in terms of damage. You can see big numbers in some specific stages of the game. I think it's Ice Golem. I think one of the waves, the enemy waves, have buffs, and you can do some big numbers on that one. I think over 1 million, especially if you have her 6-star awakened with over 300% crit damage. It's just a fun thing to see, and it's really enjoyable to see it as like a big AoE burst from an epic. Okay, so she had to be in the list. There's no other champion like this, and we were waiting for the day that Plarium would introduce like a legendary version of it, and now maybe a mythical will come. Who knows?
I know, right? She's still, you know, she's by far in a way, she's my most used epic because she's such a wave killer everywhere, you know? I mean, I was so lucky to pull a 6-star awakening on her. So I have Crushing Rend. So she's just coming in there and ignoring 1% for every 10 levels of defense. It's just absolutely bonkers.
Tremendous.
She's so good. She's so good. And she's, you know what? You know, a lot of people complain about the time aspect of the game, and like, thank God we have, you know, her, Seer, and Poison Combust teams, because things would be a lot worse, I feel like. So she will definitely change the game when you pull her, and change your account when you pull her, and also save you a heck of a lot of time when you pull her.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, it's one of those pulls that when you get her, the account changes. As long as you follow a few guides, you get her working, and you just never go back, really. Never go back to the non-Seer days.
100%, man. Totally agree.
Yeah, so that was the list, guys. Just 10 champions in the game that we thought we just gave a mention, talk about them a little bit on how they could have been legendaries. If Plarium really wanted, they could just put that legendary tag on them and just call it a day. But here we have them as epics, and they're definitely game changers. Ash, thank you so much. We got to jump over to your channel now. Make it 12. I'll have a link down below in the description, guys, for the video we'll do for Ash. So just click on that and follow through to keep on watching. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Ash. I'll see you all in the next video. Yeah, see ya.